Hey everybody, welcome to another rousing episode of the Agent Boost Marketing Podcast. First and foremost, you may be impressed by my new piece of gear here, my tinfoil hat. Shout out to one of our agents, Todd, for hooking me up with talking a little bit enough about tinfoil hats. He decided to get me one. It's funny because he wasn't actually the only agent when we talked about it. Two agents.
Yep.
Another one of our agents, Spencer Anderson, was like, "Hey, I got you this other tinfoil hat." So we're each going to have one. Then we'll have a segment each episode maybe where we take off our normal hat and put on the tinfoil hats.
But, you know, sadly, the tinfoil hat people are right so frequently these days that, you know, suddenly you're like, is it really a tinfoil hat? I don't know.
Yeah, it's the truth hat, right? The reality hat. Well, a couple of on the agenda this week, we wanted to talk about a lot of events and trainings. If you've been in this industry for any particular amount of time, you know that with the exception of the maybe 2 years of COVID, there's always a lot of events, there's a lot of trainings, and we want to talk about, you know, some of the things that we host, that we attend, the value there, strategy, and then kind of pivot into how that might affect you in your career and benefit you.
Or, yeah, kind of, I think more bring awareness to the topic, right, of how often that, and I can't speak on behalf of other kind of distributors, carriers, you know, FMOs or agencies, but it feels like at least with our agency, one of the goals or the purpose for us is to always try to, we feel like this is a relationship business. Yep. And, you know, that no matter what, like it's so much better to have that in person. And we kind of preach and talk about the best way to have a relationship is in person. If you can't, then it's a Zoom or a phone call. And then if not, then it's a text message, then it's an email. But we really do with our agents try to build that relationship, that trust. And so we're constantly doing events to try to engage with our partners. And the same thing can be said about a lot of our insurance carrier partners or payers. You know, they're always doing events as well that we're having to kind of participate in, and we enjoy it. But, you know, candidly, I would guess just off the top of my head, we probably have about 100 events a year or more. I would say, do you think that's ballpark?
Yeah, I mean, this year it seems like we're going to have 100 events. We probably already, if you wrap everything together, carrier trainings, industry things, travel, stuff we host, trainings we host. Yeah, absolutely. It feels like.
Yeah, so let's, and for like context, you know, Amber, if you know her on our staff, maybe we'll have to bring her on a podcast episode.
She'd love that.
She actually has a degree, so she graduated with a degree in event planning. So that was actually one of those skill sets that as we were doing this, you know, we actually had to find somebody there's actually a lot that goes into some of the events that we do, whether it is coordinating travel and putting flights for people to come here to visit us, or us and all of our conventions and things that we're doing. Somebody in the organization is behind the scenes doing all of that, right? And so she actually runs kind of point on that, and then has other staff members that are also assisting her with that.
Yeah, so and she's been a great, I don't think a lot of people have an Amber on a lot of our competitors have an Amber on their staff, and we really liked her. We actually stole her from WeWork when we were spinning up our virtual agency during COVID, and she did a really good job for taking care of us. At the time, we were the biggest and pretty much only people that were coming into office only, so it was like she almost worked for us de facto anyway.
When we were at the WeWork, and there's a story I won't go too in the weeds, but you know, the health department where we were at was very, you know, aware of businesses continuing to operate during those COVID years, so we relocated across county lines into the WeWork, and
to run our bootleg prohibition operation.
Exactly. And so when we were there, to your point, we were in a WeWork, and we're like, oh, this is great. Like, we have the whole entire building to ourselves because nobody was there. And yeah, it worked out great. So I don't feel like I need to publicly share more details, but it was great. Amber ended up being a great addition. That's how we met her. And like
she was a good culture fit. Yep.
She really was excellent for us. So she continues to do an excellent job. So but yeah, I would say already this year we have kind of different buckets or categories of events that we participate in. I would say like the one that we have consistently is basically a onboarding or new potential agent, you know, meeting that we do every Tuesday at 1 o'clock something.
Tuesday at 1 o'clock or
yeah.
Dang, I'm on the spot here now. 2 o'clock Mountain Time, 2
That's
o'clock
right.
Mountain Standard Time.
So every single Tuesday without fail, we always do a 2 p.m. Mountain Time. If you're an agent and you're trying to, vet out, hey, are we a good fit? Is this a good opportunity for you? We always have interested agents. We always have a big funnel, hundreds or thousands of agents who are potentially interested. We throw them on a call and we go through a big long presentation about the org and the structure and the opportunity and XYZ. So it does take some work to kind of have that be a perennial thing every single week that we're doing as an evergreen training. So we have that going on. Beyond that, what do we have weekly? We have a town hall.
Well, so every week we do Monday morning sales meeting.
Yep.
At 8:30 Mountain Time, and we do that for our whole org. Our whole org can join. We have a live auditorium here in the office that accommodates up to 120 people. We get a good amount of people live in person, and then we get a lot of people on Zoom. That is pretty early for a lot of insurance agents.
And what's the kind of the theme or the message and what's accomplished in that?
Yeah, so we usually go over 3 things. We go over what I call Motivation Mondays, where I generally try to share some sort of inspirational, motivational content that could be actually applied to your life or your career, just to start the week off on, some positive mindset type stuff. And then we transition into there to kind of some training and industry updates, anything for the week, a lot of stuff that we kind of talk about on the podcast, or very specific how it relates to our agents and our agent types, company updates, things like that. And then we try to offer some sort of training, value, product knowledge, information. And then we wrap up by celebrating some of our agents, shouting out some of their successes, any awards, anything that they've kind of won, or any celebrations, things like that.
And it's top producers, new people getting their first sales, all that kind of stuff. We are a sales organization at the end of the day, so we think that's extremely important from a culture perspective, right? So yeah, we do that, and then after that, we have tons of meetings that are just recurring with leadership, with team leads, with XYZ. So we have a lot.
Mondays.
Yep, Mondays are just packed with meetings, and they're always happening. And then, so going back to new onboards, and then agents who are onboarding within that first 3-month period, we typically find that agents are going to have more questions. They have questions about whether it be technology, how to use the technology, whether it be leads or onboarding stuff that they're trying to wrap up. There's just a lot of it's a fairly large migration process, and so those agents have those questions. So we do recurring kind of town hall meetings where it's open format. All of our new onboards can get on, kind of express any concerns, pain points, issues they're having, and we address those and try to help them navigate through it. So that is another recurring meeting that we're doing every single week. And then our team leads all do their stand-up meetings too, like individually with their teams as well. So, it's like, just from a meeting perspective and structure and, getting aligned and getting on the same page, we have a lot of those recurring meetings, right?
Yep.
Anything we're missing from that, from a recurring meeting
Not like event type stuff. Then we have our less frequent, calendar of events, which kind of prompted this conversation. Mm-hmm. This week we're just starting to market out, just in the very near future. We have ACA boot camps. If you're interested in learning about ACA, getting into that.
And we do those both in person and virtual.
Correct.
So regardless of whether you're in front of us or wherever you're at, we're going to try to support that, right?
Yeah, and I'll actually, if you're listening to this podcast and you're wondering about all these events, I'm going to drop a link to a little event website on YouTube, and the link there, and probably try to put it on the podcasts. I don't know if a lot of those formats will link it out, but it'll be on our YouTube, and it'll be on you can go to our website as well, call in for information if you're interested in those specific events. But
yeah, you bring that up because our kind of philosophy is that what I've really observed in the industry over the last couple of years is there's entities, there's people in the industry who are really trying to charge and monetize for a lot of those things, for just training and support. And my perspective is that it's always been, if like quoting the Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come, right? And so we're more of the mindset of providing value to people, and this is just what we do. Like, part of our value as being an FMO is that we're always going to provide those training opportunities. And so whether you're aligned with us, you're not aligned with us, doesn't matter. Our philosophy is just like, hey, we'll we're going to put out the content, we're going to put out the training, we're going to do the events and X, Y, and Z. We don't need to, necessarily charge the agents. We're just going to do it, and the business is going to come.
Yep, absolutely. A couple other things that we have on the radar just for recency. We are doing our new headquarter kickoff here in Lehigh, our new facility, and that's going to be April 3rd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we're going to, if anybody here in local, if anybody in Utah wants to come to that, or out of the state, honestly, because we're going to be doing this at our Tampa office as well. But come out. It's free. We don't care if you're one of our agents or not. You can kind of take a peek behind the curtain, see what kind of, what we do here, meet some of our staff, fill it out. Competitors, we know a lot of you out here operating in the industry. Watch this podcast. We'd love to have you. Yeah. Just shake hands and be friends, right? Yep. Love to have you out. We're going to be doing food trucks. We've got amazing Jurassic tacos and San Diablo churros. I'm trying to lure you in with all this great stuff. And then we've got raffles that we're doing. We're giving away golf. I can't remember. What are we?
There's 3 raffles. We're doing one for like a pickleball raffle with paddles, agent boost, like pickleball hats, just stuff like that. Another golf bundle with all the branded swag that we have with the golf bag. And then the 3rd raffle is going to be agent boost stuff with VIP suites to our USANA suite. For a concert.
Which are valued at $520 per pair. So we're going to be giving away some high quality, high caliber stuff. So come out, see the facilities, check that out. That's April 3rd.
That's just kind of, so that's one, right? The open house. We have our Tampa open house. We also have our Mesquite, Nevada, that we need to do the open house for, just to kind of bring some awareness to all these events, which so far we're only talking about our open houses and our trainings and our boot camps and everything else. Do we want to talk about like what agent orientation is and kind of explain that? Yeah.
So the other thing, and we just had that this week, so Tuesday and Wednesday. And what we do is, if you're one of our agents that's kind of an up and comer, or you want to invest in yourself, what we do is, if you've written a certain amount of business, we'll actually we'll fly you out here. And the reason why we wait until somebody actually writes business is we want to make sure that you're, going to put forth effort on yourself, right, before we invest a lot of money in flights and hotels and things like that, and food and entertainment to bring people out. But I don't know of another org out there like us that does that consistently. And we had a lot of success with this over the past couple of years of flying agents out all over the country. It's been really cool and very rewarding, honestly, because even just this week, we brought out one of our great agents from Florida, had never left the state of Florida before, got to experience mountains and snow, and was just like blown away, thinking we're living in Middle Earth,
Yeah. It was fun, but yeah, it's those events are great. Like we actually do those, and the premise being that it's really hard for us as a company to like get on a plane. We want to like meet people in person and be in the market and roll up our sleeves and be in the trenches with our agents, but you just can't physically do it and be everywhere. So the whole idea is like, hey, let's take a look at our roster of all of our newer agents. And 2 things is, people say that, candidly, we hear it frequently in the industry: I'm not getting training. I don't get training. I need training and I need support. And we recognize that. And so what we've done to solve that is say, hey, to your point, when agents onboard and they've already started to write business and figure it out and they're doing it, we still want to fly them out here and on our dime, so that we can spend a full 2 days training them, and we have a whole curriculum and calendar doing that orientation, because we find that that's a great investment for us. It's going to make the agent better. It's going to help them sell more, and we all win. And it's fun to kind of have that interaction. We always make sure and go to dinner, do a fun activity, spend some personal time with people too.
So let me give you an idea of what the curriculum was, because it's very, very relevant to what the current status and how to sell, how to be an active agent, right? So we talk about the state of the industry. We talk very in depth about some of the things that we've talked about in the podcast, but really, how do you navigate those things to be successful as an insurance agent? And then we go into our tools very specifically, how to use our CRM, how to use that to be able to sell and manage your business. We go over like Sunfire and Health Sherpa and some of our enrollment tools.
Commissions and compensation and how the carriers pay those commissions and how you as a broker should run your business and budget and,
Correct. Yeah. We do like best practices from what Dan and I have learned. How do you save your money? How do you act as an independent insurance agent? You all are listening to this are either, a W-2 employer, your own independent insurance agent, your own business owner, how to be successful as an entrepreneur, how to save that money, how to manage the cash flow cycles in this difficult insurance business, right? These are very granular tools from people who have been there and done that. And frankly, it's like content that, like Dan said, a lot of people charge. Come learn my secret, insert XYZ, come pay me to do this. And we do that for our agents for free. Yep. At a very, very high level.
The other thing we talk about, of course, is the difference in carriers, and kind of each carrier we feel like has a profile, and they have like things that separate them or make them distinct from one another. We talk about educating brokers and understanding what's going to make this carrier different from the other, and when are the right circumstances to kind of offer this particular product to somebody versus the other. Just to kind of give you an idea of
compliance, like what's, we have our compliance officer come, trends on how to avoid, compliance issues, what to do if you get them, all sorts of stuff like that. We wrap with the Q&A. We bring in key members from our team, lead gen people, compliance officers, team leads, and they can ask just all the questions that they need to be successful, right? So this last week, we took everyone to dinner. There was probably a group of 10 or 12 people from out of state, took them all to dinner, and then we went and did go-kart racing, high-end go-kart racing, had some fun. You learn a lot about, who's aggressive and who's not as aggressive in the go-kart racing.
Were you surprised by the results?
Yeah. It's always fun. So we do that. And then the other thing too is you don't have to be one of our agents to go to come to these things. Right. We're more than willing to invest in training. And even if you just want to come as like a, check it out. What are we about? And you want to come in and get free training and you never end up aligning with us, we're totally okay with that. Obviously, we think that people come out and they experience our training, our facilities, our culture, and they hope that, they see us as a good market fit and want to work with us. But if not, that's okay too.
100%. We just honestly feel that for us, like, we don't mind, like, obviously we're not going to pay for somebody to come out if they're not aligned with us, but if they do want to kind of book a flight and just stay, perfectly fine. If they're willing to pay their travel expenses, we don't care. We'll teach.
Or any of our local agents in the regional area that are multi-state region that want to drive down, look into that calendar, and we can absolutely, we'd love to host you. The other thing we do is for new agents that maybe haven't, produced any business yet, we'll offer them, if they want to invest in themselves, if they want to pay for their own travel and come out to this boot camp, we will actually reimburse them once they wrote a very minimal amount of production. We'll actually reimburse them the travel for that, which is, totally compliant in all aspects of the business to do. Yep. And it's again, another great investment where if these agents are willing to invest a few bucks in their personal development, in their business development and training, it's a great indicator that they're going to have the necessary skill sets to be successful in this industry.
Yep. So that's great. And we do those like every 6 to 8 weeks. We do it on a regular cadence. Like Mike said, he's going to drop the link in there. So if you're hearing this and you're going, yeah, that's appealing to me, I think that'd be great, I want to do it, fantastic. We'd love to have you. We'd love to meet you. And that's just one of the kind of events that we're doing on an ongoing basis.
Before we move on from that boot camp, we do alternate it. Next month, we're doing it in Tampa.
That's right. On
April 16th and 17th. Trust but verify on that. April 16th, I think it's a Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah. And then we're back to Salt Lake, and we're kind of rotating back and forth between our Salt Lake office and our Tampa headquarters. So whatever is most convenient part of the country for you to go to, but the format will be roughly the same. So that's an ongoing every month thing, and I think we continue that until when? September or August?
September, and then by then it's just we're so in the trenches with both Medicare and ACA and just open enrollment and all that kind of chaos. It's just,
and the carriers don't want you moving contracts. We're at blackout times, and it's just not effective anymore.
So we'll usually throw that on the shelf in September, and then we'll start our first group again in January or February.
Yeah. So what other events that we have coming up? We talked about the open house. We talked about the boot camp. The ACA training boot camps.
The trainings, the orientations, the other things that we do, just to give you an example, we're typically planning market kickoffs, which has become extremely popular. It seems like, we do have a hard time doing a kickoff in every single state, but that's something that we typically always do because let's be honest, if you're selling, especially health products, life products are always going to change, whether it just be the premium or if you're doing annuities, the crediting methods or the interest rates. I mean, they're always going to change. But when it comes to health and Medicare, they're changing drastically from year to year. And so because of that, we're always trying to pull together events. And this year we'll be doing both in-person and virtual kind of market kickoffs where we can go through the different carriers, the changes they're making. And I actually think this coming fall, things are going to be fairly significant. I still think there's going to be a lot of agents and agencies who kind of have like sticker shock from, all the fallout of the funding methodologies and everything from the CMS call letter. I think plans are going to change more dramatically this fall than what some people are thinking. So anyways, we're always doing those market kickoffs, trying to prepare and arm agents with information as they're heading into the sales season, and just have all that awareness so they can be effective. So we will have more market kickoffs this fall. And then I would say the other events that we're doing is sometimes we're flying around and doing recruiting events in the marketplaces, especially in states where we have an agent concentration. And whether it be you, me, Brian, our VP, Paul, we have a whole team of staff that travel to markets to just say hey, support our agents and agency partners. Typically, we're trying to continue to tie and develop their relationship with carriers in their local marketplace, provide them with more resources, and try to help them be successful in their local market. Those are trips that we take as well. And then I would say the other one is big is carrier events. We are frequently tied up in just different carrier events that, whether it be a recognition trip of our firm and producing results, and it's, hey, this is a fun rah, like, hey, almost like a reward, like you guys have done a great job, or whether it be they're announcing, critical things that they're doing and they're trying to get to distribution, whether, it's, hey, we're enhancing things in our agent portal, we're changing things to our member experience, we're going to be expanding in different states. We're typically traveling out to different markets and states with different carriers as they're doing kickoff events, reward trips. We think those are really valuable for us with the carriers. It frequently allows, and you've been on multiple of these as well, but for me, it allows me a lot of face time with decision makers at these carriers. It allows me to not only build the relationship and rapport and to obviously, get the resources we need for our agents to succeed, but it also is a great opportunity for me to really give them practical feedback on pain points and issues that we're having, either with their products, with our distribution, and trying to come up with a dialogue or solution. I'll give you examples. Sometimes, we're having compliance issues with carriers, and, when you're calling your rep, it's not quite as effective as when you're really with different decision makers there, and you can very clearly give them examples of things that are kind of broken in either their processes or how they're evaluating or applying CTM points, or, the time frames or the periods in which they have. I feel like that's very valuable for me to spend the time with those people.
Yeah, just to add on to that from, and I'll kind of give you a peek behind the curtain at a high level, just to give you an idea. Dan and myself, or both of us, are going to be traveling to Florida to the Valspar golf tournament next week. Dan's going to Washington, D.C. with a carrier to see the cherry blossoms and to network. We're going to the Kentucky Derby. And really and what Dan talked about with the recruiting nationwide and meeting in person this is a high level secret, this is really a relationship business. And if you want to succeed at a higher level or even at a local level, and you want to have those relationships, if you want to be the agent that the broker manager is providing opportunities to, you need to cultivate those personal relationships. And there is still a lot of power. I know post-COVID, everybody tried to go everything virtual and Zoom, but humans they're tribal, right? You love to meet these personal relationships. And if you can get yourself at a seat at the table or in the room where it happens, where a lot of these decision makers are at whatever level you're at. You know, if you're a local agent, your local broker, your county, and build that relationship and kind of grow on up. That social climb or that networking is a critical key piece of the business. If anybody has any sort of desire outside of just being a solo agent, and you know, Dan's been a master of that over his career, over being able to network with these individuals, participate in these events. And I frankly think it's been a key to our success is flying out all across the country. For years, you know, we were on planes and meeting with people at restaurants and facilities and shaking hands and kissing babies and bringing people on. And a lot of those agents and a lot of those relationships have been our key relationships there. And so if you're wondering why we're spending all this time talking about events and trainings and things like that, they are a great time for you to build those relationships, because especially in this healthcare industry, that's where the magic happens. That's the secret sauce for all of these different things.
Yeah, I would agree. And to provide context, there was a period for about at least 6 years where I was traveling at least every third week, at least, for a lot of years. I still travel a lot. I was just talking to Omar. You know, we were going through like my travel schedule, and I think I have 9 days in the office over the next like 5 or 6 weeks or something like that. And other than that, I'm traveling. So
yeah, and already this year we started the year with our end of the year producer trip. We started the year on a vacation, work vacation in Hawaii.
We haven't talked about the incentive or the producer trips that we do yet.
Yeah, and then I flew out for one single day to meet with somebody in person to Kansas City, in and out a plane same day. Yep. Because could it have been done via Zoom? Yeah, but you know, if you show up and put the effort in, shake hands, look people in the eye, you can kind of feel each other's energy, read. You know, I always like to say humans are sophisticated meat machines, where we're always reading all these external inputs and outputs of people and deciding, hey, do I like this person? And you frankly, you do bond. You know, like one of the cool things that we've talked about bringing all these agents in from all over the country, different background, different religions, different political affiliations, everything. Guess what? We all come in and we all have a great time and we all enjoy each other's company and we all build these professional and personal relationships with each other, and they're just very invaluable.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the reasons that I still am in this industry and I still enjoy it. And, you know, I joke all the time about all my Ds, you know, like the ADD, OCD, ADHD, whatever it is. And that's actually one of the things that I really like about the business and why we keep doing it. It's just that personal element of it that I really enjoy.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with, you know, we're not saying there's a counterbalance to this where we're not saying go sign up and go to every training and go to every event and whatever. You can very easily become mired in creative avoidance of going to all these different trainings and choosing to do things that aren't actually productive. So you do need to be selective about what you're doing. But we've just known that these events, these live person things, they're a critical piece of the business in the industry.
Yeah, they are. So we have all these carrier events kind of coming up, and again, I like it. It's very different to be able to interact with all these carriers and, you know, hopefully, you know, again, solve issues that we're having with distribution, even talk about technology and things in their portals and having these trips. That's where we sit there and give feedback about, hey, how do you think about our technology, our system? What is the agent experience like, and what's positive and what's negative? It's great being able to have feedback and influence changes that they're going to be making that affect us and our agents. So tons of value in us going to the different carrier events and continuing to build those strong relationships, as you mentioned. The other thing that we haven't talked about coordinating is even some of our producer or agent trips that we've done in the past requires a whole lot of coordination. I mean, sometimes for those trips that we've done Hawaii for 3-4 years in a row.
3 years in a row.
We've gone to
Maui, Kauai, Big Island.
That's right. For 3 years in a row, we've done these producer trips.
Boosting that Hawaiian economy.
Yeah, they don't even want us to spend the money there, but we're there.
Dang Howleys.
You know? Yeah. But yeah, no, we'll be talking changes in the future and different places we'll be going. But that takes us, you know, sometimes 6 months to plan and takes us, you know, hundreds of hours to kind of execute and do all that. So it's a really big, heavy lift when we're doing those kind of trips too.
Yeah, so there's a couple other things that I want to mention as far as events and industry stuff. We're about to enter the season of carrier rollouts, and for anybody in your upline or Dan and I, it'll enter the season of basically every insurance carrier wants to bring you out. It's efficient for them to bring out all their leadership and all their distribution partners to one national rollout where they give you a preview of the upcoming plan year's benefits.
Correct.
You network, you strategize, you kind of get the opportunity to have your behind the, curtain conversations, you're at the dinner table, the napkin conversations, and they're really valuable. But it's also hard on us as an agency because sometimes, Dan and I have Agent Boost, we have probably 13 to 20 different key carrier partnerships, and we ended up traveling
more now because of ACA.
Yeah, more. Yeah. So last year it was Nashville multiple times, and Boston, and Colorado, and New Orleans, and where else were we? Luckily, we had some in Salt Lake City, which benefited us.
That was actually
Humana's
convenient.
rollout was in Salt Lake. That was very convenient.
That was convenient.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
And then there's been a couple national conventions and things like that, and we're always toying with throwing our hat in the arena because we do so many events with putting on one of these events. But I've been to ICMG in Miami this year already. A lot of our staff's going down to Medicarians, but again, these are all networking things, networking events where a lot of these. It's funny how popular that particular event has got over the past 3 years.
It's been kind of interesting for me to see that and how popular it is. But for me, the reason we go there, of course, is any time that we feel like our agents are going to be somewhere, we want to be there and kind of continue to support our own agents, right? But then secondarily, for me, the reason I like to go is going back to efficiency. It's so nice that I can be there for a couple of days and I'll be able to have some very high-level conversations with a lot of carrier partners and decision makers, and in 3 days I'm going to accomplish what I can in 7 months. Sometimes.
Vendors and all that.
Yeah, so for us it's the efficiency thing in being there for it. It is wild how much. Well, we won't go into all the details of Medicarians, but yeah, we will definitely be there. We'll
have a booth there this year as well.
Yeah, and we'll see. As this continues to develop, I just imagine there's going to be more events and more, and so it's just. There is a whole lot. We have so many meetings about traveling and all these events and coordinating, and it's just become wild, trying to schedule everything. So just know, if there's ever an event that we're not at, we probably very much would like to be there. There's
bandwidth.
There's some, we do have bandwidth issues sometimes. So, because I will get that sometimes, like, hey, how come I didn't see you guys at X or Y or Z? And I'm like, I don't know, because I've traveled like
because we want to stay married.
Yeah, exactly. I have kids and I'm married. Exactly. It's hard, but yeah, those are all events that are happening behind the scenes that I just don't even know that your average agent really thinks about or knows about. It's really hard for me too these days where. I have so many great agent relationships I've owned for over 10 years with people, and they're like, hey, man, let's, grab lunch. Let's go hang out. Let's go golf or something. I'm like, dude, that sounds so great. I would love to do that. I freaking haven't been able to do that in 2 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's been hard. So,
overall, bringing it home, I think we've kind of talked about, the events. What other things do we have on our radar that we want to highlight? I think we have how to sell, Medicare Advantage plans, how to sell ACA trainings. Again, just a lot of those in person. Guys, I will say too, just a last piece of advice. Sometimes it's good to just go in and network or hobnob. Is that a word that people still use these days? Are
we going to say mucky mucks too?
Yeah. With other industry professionals, right? Other good agents that you can learn that'll share tips and tricks that you can kind of just, I would just say in general, you always want to put yourself in a room where you're surrounded by talent, surrounded by other people who are doing good things. And when you go to these trainings, you go to these events, whether it be us or a competitor or a broker manager or a carrier or anybody or an industry event, you're going to be able to have the opportunity to learn from these other individuals and take key takeaways. But it's really, what kind of agent are you? Are you one that wants to always be investing in in your current knowledge and your skill set and leveling up and learning from other people? Or are you just sitting back, on your hands, waiting for your upline to tell you exactly what to do?
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by that too. I mean, you mentioned it. We're out there. We're always putting ourselves out there as an organization. We're having to promote. We're having to spend money and time and effort and do all these events and coordinate them. But obviously, we as an organization are seeing the value from doing all that. I mean, I just think, my wife jokes sometimes, and she's like, "I thought you're running like an insurance business, like not like a party planning, like company." He's like, "Are you hiring a clown, and you're going to keep a clown on staff too? And do they juggle, And
you're like, "You obviously haven't watched Wolf of Wall Street."
So she's like, "I just don't understand. Like, you guys are always doing like events and it's just part of it."
Yeah.
And so I would say we're continuing to always invest, again, the time, the money, and the effort to put ourselves out there. And I think, the same can be said to your point to the agents, is just put yourself out there. Go to those. I know that in the markets, there's always those cocktail mixers, come meet physicians groups, or come meet broker managers, or have XYZ. And so many brokers are like, I'm not going to learn anything there. I'm not. But, you could have made a key relationship and just had a 5-minute conversation with, whether it be a physician, or maybe you find a vendor, or you have some sort of synergy with an agent, or whatever that may be. You're going to miss those opportunities if you're not going to put yourself in that position.
Absolutely.
So,
yep. So moral of the story, invest in your success. Go to these trainings, whether it be with us or somebody else. If you're not in our downline or distribution, we'd love to have you out for free to any of our events. No cost, no catch there. We're not going to do the timeshare deal where we, at the end of it, we bring you in and bring in the closer.
Close the doors.
Yeah, and close the doors and lock them until you sign up. We're not going to do any of that stuff, So love to have you out. If it's kind of a little bit of recency on this, but hope to get some attendance for we'll have to look back and see how the headquarters, the launch went, the grand opening.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Appreciate all of your time and attention this week, guys. Thank you.